Hi Aggies, it's Chancellor May and Lachelle, and it's time for Thursday Thoughts. Today I'm going to be addressing what happened with commencement this past weekend. I know that many of you are rightfully hurt, upset, frustrated, disappointed that we did not give you the celebration that you rightly deserved. I'm deeply and truly sorry. We're working through a number of issues to make sure this never happens again. And while we can't go back in time and fix what happened this weekend, we do want to make sure that we do our best to make amends. I just have to say that after the ceremony on Friday, Lachelle can tell you this, I was just despondent. No one at UC Davis, other than the graduates and their families and friends, is more disappointed than I am about what happened. I always look forward to graduation. It's one of the favorite days of the year. Everyone is so excited and happy, and I just was inconsolable that we took that from many of you. And ultimately, it's my responsibility. I don't want to point fingers. I don't want to make excuses. Ultimately, what happens at the university is my responsibility, and I'm deeply, deeply sorry.
It sounds like they have questions.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get to the questions.
Why are we only getting $58 for Regalia Refunds?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, let's just define regalia. That's the cap, gown, and tassel that you rented for the ceremony, and that $58 covered that rental. Now, right after the first ceremony issues, we heard from students and parents, and actually had discussions with ASUCD leadership about what we could do to begin to make amends for that. And refunding the rental of the regalia was one of the first things we said. Now, this is just the bare minimum. It's the least we can do. And that's just a start to making full amends. We know that cannot make up for the terrible situation that you underwent, and we know that does not make full amends for everything that happened, but we felt like that was a good first step on the way towards making amends.
So do all the students get a refund, or just the ones who didn't get to walk across the stage?
The students who did not get a chance to walk
Across the stage.
Students are able to apply for the refund. There's a form they fill out.
Okay.
We've already got several hundred forms that have been filled out.
When is the makeup ceremony?
So right now we don't have a date. We're going to do a review of what happened. We're going to plan the very best makeup ceremony we can to give as good a replacement experience for the students that were unable to walk as we possibly can. We will inform you when we're able to put together what that will entail. All we know is we want to try to make amends for what happened this weekend to as many students and families as we can possibly cover.
Okay. Considering that it's the summertime, will it more likely be indoors? Or with COVID, can you go indoors?
I think one of the lessons we've learned is, and again, we have to finish the planning, but one of the lessons we learned is that there's a lot of uncontrollable things that happen outdoors.
Yeah.
Heat,
Yeah.
smoke,
Right.
wind, all these
Right.
things that could happen. So I think my preference would be that we find an indoor venue, but one of the reasons why it was outdoors, you mentioned COVID, when we were planning back in January, we were in the Omicron surge, and the best thinking at that time was outdoors was better. I think as we go forward, we have more information and knowledge now. So one more thing though, we are doing a survey of the students and families affected, and we want to make sure we get their input on the makeup ceremony before we make any firm plans. So that's one more aspect to the answers.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. That way people could express the things that they felt went right and some things that went wrong.
Right, I suspect it's going to be more of the latter.
So on to the next question. How are this weekend's commencement mistakes going to be prevented in the future?
Yeah, so let me go back a little bit. Even before the pandemic, we were thinking about UC Davis Health Stadium as a venue. A number of reasons for that. One is the growing number of graduates that we have. Before the pandemic, the ceremonies were all held in the pavilion. What was then the Art Pavilion, now it's UCU Pavilion. And we had to have multiple ceremonies because we have so many graduates. We had, I believe, 3 ceremonies for LNS, 2 for College of Ag and Environmental Sciences, 1 for engineering, 1 for CBS, 1 for grad studies. That's 7, that's 8. Now we have even more graduates. We have professional schools who've outgrown their choice for the use of the Mandavi Center for their ceremonies.
Wow.
So, for example, the Graduate School of Management had to change from Mandavi to the UCU Pavilion this year.
Oh.
It's getting to the point where the pavilion scheduling is a challenge, where we have 8, 9, 10 ceremonies that we want to have in a 4-day period, and it's hard to squeeze them all in and do the changeovers and the the logistics.
Right.
We also were thinking, wow, let's do something big and grand and celebrates the real accomplishments of our students. And many universities around the country use outdoor stadiums to have a big grand celebration, because you don't graduate from your college. You graduate from the University of California, Davis. So we wanted to do something more in keeping with the spirit and the festivities that are associated with graduation. So that was really the thinking behind moving it to the stadium, in addition to, we had even further motivation this year because of COVID. But the fact that the logistics of the UCU Pavilion, our desire to do something more expansive and celebratory,
right.
And all those factors were part of it. Now the question was, how do we prevent this from happening again?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So we will do a comprehensive review of what happened this year. I have to say right now where I am with this is it's highly unlikely we will try to do it in the football stadium again. I won't preclude that completely, because part of this review has to have some student input, and I promised our student leadership that we will get their input. So before I take anything off the table, I want to make sure that everyone's had a chance to weigh in. But I think based on our experience this weekend, it's highly unlikely that we will go back to the stadium. We'll look at all the different options that we have available to us, and learn from the mistakes that we made this weekend, and in 2023 have the best graduation UC Davis has ever had.
Yeah.
I think when I was texting you, it was probably around 5 or 5:30 a.m. Our time. You were on the East Coast, but we were in real time planning about what we were going to do Saturday morning to alleviate some of the problems that we had Friday. And so what we ended up doing was canceling all the speeches.
Yeah.
I felt so bad because Congresswoman Jackie Spear was here. She's an alumna and a distinguished alumna, 40 years of public service in Congress.
Right.
And she was gracious enough to forego her speech so we could speed things up.
Yeah.
Our student speaker was not able to speak. Sana Sayyid was my one of my student advisors to the Chancellor. It really broke my heart that she was not able to speak. We weren't able to recognize our student award winners. But we did all that just so that we could make sure that all the students that were there Saturday could walk. We started at 7:30 rather than 8 o'clock. And luckily, we were able to get through the entire line. So we learned, and we tried to implement what we learned. Sunday was better still. We started at 7.
Yeah.
We were able to get some of the speeches back in.
Yeah.
I didn't give my speech any of the 3 days, which nobody's complaining about. And Sunday we got through, and the weather was better, honestly, on Sunday. But we got through everything on Sunday in a reasonable fashion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was challenging. It's still heavy on my mind. You know, graduation is the one thing you shouldn't mess up.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I was just, you weren't here to see it, but I was inconsolable over the weekend. But all I can do is try to make it right. Yeah. And like I said in my letter, let's not make excuses, let's make amends. Yeah. That's what we'll do. So that's it for this week's Thursday Thoughts, Aggies. Again, I know that you are disappointed with what happened this weekend. I am too, I truly am. I wish we'd been able to celebrate you in the way that you deserve to be celebrated for what you've accomplished, for graduating from this wonderful university. I want you to know that, like your parents and your friends and your loved ones, I'm so proud of all that you've worked for and achieved here at UC Davis. And I hope that this event, this one event, does not tarnish your positive experiences, your friendships you've made, all that you've accomplished, all that you've achieved while you've been here. We are truly sorry. I hope that you allow us to make this up to you in the best way that we can. As I said, we won't make excuses, we'll just try to make amends. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, go Aggies.